We have been explaining why we need to address dangerous climate change in a timely and significant way. Our next question is, what can be done, and what will it cost to require in the way of social transformation? There are two options, adaptation and mitigation, though as we shall see, they are not mutually exclusive. If greenhouse gas concentration levels continue to rise, which they surely will in the near term, it will be imperative to help the global poor adapt to their changed circumstances. Assistance with adaptation strategies include aid in obtaining the food they can no longer grow, developing seeds for crops that can survive with greatly reduced water and increased heat, humanitarian relief after more frequent and more severe weather events, seawalls and irrigation projects, technologies for ambient outdoor temperature reduction, especially in urban heat islands, disease prevention and disease eradication programs, resources for relocation, and opening borders for climate change refugees. Obviously, the preferred solution is mitigation, slowing and eventually stabilizing and reversing the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. But no one supposes that the entire threat can be mitigated. Money for adaptation will be required. It's difficult for most of us to grasp the significance of these ways of estimating the cost. Moreover, it's easy to infer that we just need to increase the efficiency of everything we are doing now. But things are complicated by the fact that the world's population is expected to grow from 7 to 9 billion by 2050. The problem is not just a function of the carbon footprint per person, but also of how many footprints there are. To just stay on the unsustainable emissions trajectory we're on, we would have to cut emissions far below current levels just to accommodate the 2 billion more people. A radically decarbonized world in 2050 would be one in which the global average equals that of some of the world's poorest nations, such as Malawi and Bangladesh. Absent extraordinary technological breakthroughs, the standard of living that such a carbon footprint would support is something that few people in the developed world can imagine for themselves. Perhaps some suite of technological solutions will go a long way toward that goal, eventually. But the window of opportunity is closing fast. Another metric will help us understand the urgency of timely action. The 450 part per million target we've been discussing equates to roughly a 1 trillion metric ton greenhouse gas accumulation. We are more than half the way there, and the bulk of that accumulation has been since 1950. That was before China and all the other developing economies joined the industrial club. In fact, China is now the world's largest emitter. So on a global scale, because of the combination of industrialization and population growth, we are accelerating the pace of greenhouse gas accumulation when we need to be decelerating. Even if we develop and implement radically more efficient green technologies over the next 10, 20 years, we will find ourselves further behind where we need to be unless the global affluent and the rapidly developing nations also make big changes in lifestyle and consumption. To suppose that climate change mitigation can be achieved without sacrifice is an illusion. To suppose that adaptation is possible for those harmed first and worst is an illusion as well, without massive infusion of capital from the developed world and opening the doors to climate refugees.